So I don't know if I answered your question or not. Yeah. But another thing, I worry, like what you were saying made me think about also. I seen a rapper. There's a rapper that has he got the chains, he got the KKK hanging on lynches at the end of his for his medallion. Do y'all know who that is? Finesse two times. Okay, yeah, yeah. I was like, that's kind of hard right there. Because okay, to walk around with somebody with a person hanging as a medallion is, that's kind of treacherous. But like Edomites, white people wouldn't even get upset at that. They would understand, like, because they're hooded. You could tell they're hooded KKK members, like hanging. You know what I'm saying? So that, I mean, that's probably I don't see nothing wrong with that. But the point is that when it comes to the Christian cross, like that's the symbol of Christ. That was the instrument of execution, and you're not going to wear the instrument of execution of your loved one around your neck and venerate it and say, well, this protects me. They're watching over me. That's it on that, right? Anybody else got anything else to add to that? Hey, if y'all just tapping back in, I don't know. We don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. The feed literally just dropped. It closed out, and I don't got no answer for it other than the white man is the devil. That's my only answer. That's my answer to any time. So that's the first time I ever seen that actually happen. But it dropped like like they cut the light, like the power company came and cut the lights out. It dropped so fast. I had to look at her brother and say, "Damn, did we pay the internet bill? Is the internet on? Did it just turn off right now? Like what just happened?" But that's what that is. Let me get let me see. Give me Psalms. Give me Ecclesiastes 12 and 14. Ecclesiastes 12 and 14. What you mean, Quadash? You said that's crazy to be reminded of that. Oh, you talking about the loved ones on a medallion? Is that what he's talking about? Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
You wouldn't want your loved one. You ain't gonna walk around with cancer cells as a chain if your mom died.
Right. You're gonna get a cancer cell. You're gonna get a diamond encrusted cancer cell, have it on the end of a train because your mama died of cancer. The brother said that kind of mean they kind of really don't love Christ. If they wearing around their neck the form of his of his execution around their neck. Not only that, they just don't understand. They ain't if you're a black person and you agree to a certain extent with what we say in the ISUPK and you still wearing a cross, it's because you just don't understand who the Bible is talking to and who it is for and what Christ really stood for. Right. You don't understand at all. Okay, go ahead.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 14.
Uh-huh.
For God shall bring every work into judgment.
Yes. Keep going.
With every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Is that all that's right there? Or is there anything in before?
Come on.
Okay, so let me just say the Most High are going to bring everything into judgment, even the things that people don't see. A lot of times our people are evil as hell, and we do things in secret that we think nobody sees. And you live a life that you think nobody sees. And you feel as though because nobody is there physically that nobody is watching. But the angels are always watching and reporting back to the Most High. Everything that is done in secret is going to be brought to the light. There's so many things that are going to be brought to the light that we can't even imagine, especially living up under the white man who has done merciless things to God's chosen people. And you know, a lot of times on their deathbed, then they want to say they did it. They didn't live the good life, and now they want to, you know, they want to get something off their chest. They want to get something off their conscience. And there's a lot for every one of those, there's a million stories where there's things that have happened in the dark. There's things that have happened to our people that we'll never know about until the day that Christ returns.
Right.
Go ahead.
So you want me to start from verse 13?
Let me hear it.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 13.
Uh-huh.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
Uh-huh.
Fear God.
That's verse what?
13.
13. Go back to 11. Let me hear what 11 says.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 11. The word of the wise are as goads, and as nails fastened by the masters of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd. And further, by these, my son, be admonished of making many books, there is no end.
Making many books, there is no end. You go in a library and it's a million books. People have been making books since the beginning of time. People have been writing down ideas, thoughts, stories, all of that since the beginning of time. Go ahead.
And much study is a weariness of the flesh.
And much study is a weariness of the flesh. Now, is this saying don't study the Bible? No, we know it's not talking about the Bible or the scriptures in the history of our people, because it starts off talking about how many books are made. Read it from the top again.
Come on. And further, by these, my son, be admonished of making many books. There is no end.
There's no end. So you can get caught up in, oh, I want to get this book. I want to get that book. Oh, did you see on Amazon they have the book of Adam? They got the book of Jasher and the book of Enoch and the book of the prophets and the book of this and the book of that. And now you have, a plethora of fake Israelites that stand by these books but don't know the precepts in the Bible.
Right.
They believe the book of Enoch wholeheartedly. They believe the book of Jasher. They believe all of these books that men wrote that can't even be authenticated with ancient manuscripts. You get caught up in that thing of, I'm learning this, I'm learning that. There's nothing wrong with learning anything in specific. But if you're going to learn about God and you want to learn about the truth, then you need to stick to the Bible. Where the Bible at? So like it. You need to stick to the Bible. Okay. You need to stick to that and not get caught up in the train of thought of, or, what about these other books? And it's some mystical books. It's some books that they took out the Bible a long time ago. And I want to get those ones. You missed the whole point of the scriptures. You're not even keeping the damn commandments anymore because you're worried about having these books that people ain't got. You go in the library and it's all kind of information and knowledge and books where people just write about stuff that will never, ever profit you. Never, ever profit you. So be wise to understand the difference of that. Not that you shouldn't learn and you shouldn't be inquisitive and inquire and want to know, but you don't want to know all of this stuff that has no profit for you. How in the hell, when in the book of Enoch talk about 450-foot giants, how is that profiting you now? How can that help you go and fix your people? What tool in the book of Enoch is telling you, that giving you the tools to go out in the world and fix your people and raise up a nation? Go ahead. And let me just say, for y'all that follow the book of Enoch, the book of Enoch, in the beginning of the book of Enoch, it tells you that it was wholly rewritten. It tells you, if you do your research on the book of Enoch, they base it off of a couple of fragments. They like this damn big fragments from the Ge'ez language, the Ethiopian language. The Ethiopians have little tiny fragments. And a white British man, he went and took those fragments and created a whole book from those fragments and pieces of the original book of Enoch. It tells you in the beginning of the book of Enoch that it is wholly rewritten. It is not the original book of Enoch. And because the Bible mentions Enoch, you fake Israelites that hate the Aisha and hate the truth of what we're saying will say, well, that solidifies it. It was mentioned, and this has to be the book of Enoch. Whoever is the publishing company of the book of Enoch, you niggas have made billionaires buying it off of Amazon. It is not the actual book. Okay. Where you at?
Verse 13.
You can drop that. You can go ahead. We should read that. Go
Verse
ahead.
13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
So when reading books and learning and doing all this is the conclusion of the whole matter. Go ahead.
Fear God.
Fear the Most High. Go ahead.
And keep his commandments.
That's it. And that is all.
Right.
That's the most important duty of a man, of a woman, is to fear God. You need to fear the Most High. And you need to keep the commandments. That is all you need to do. That is your purpose. Your purpose ain't trying to, figure out what you need to do in life and what's this and that and what, how deep the ocean is and how high the sky is. Your purpose in life is to fear the Most High and keep the commandments, and everything else with you will be fine. Do you know there are evil people in this world? There are evil things in this world. There are things that you can't imagine that happen on a day-to-day basis. You want to be protected for those things. You want your family members to be protected from them things. You want your children to be protected from them things. And how is it that you are able to get that protection? It's from what?
Fear God and keep his commandments.
It's from fearing the Most High and keeping his commandments. That's how all of these things come together. There is no security. There is no protection. There is no, being sure, no surety, being sure for something. There's nothing that you can be sure of other than keeping the law, statute, and commandments and fearing the Most High. You fear the Most High, then you won't ever fear a man.
Right.
You won't ever fear a circumstance, because you know that he's in power to move that circumstance. He's controlling that circumstance. There's no circumstance that we face as our people face that we look at it like it's a huge obstacle. It's a mountain in front of us. There's nothing that can stop us if we turn to the Lord. It's nothing, right? Let me give me Micah 2:1. You about here? All right. Shalom, Lord Christ.
Like I said, 2:1.
Micah 2:1. Come. Yeah. Shalom, Lord Christ.
The book of Micah, chapter 2, verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it.
The Bible says, woe to them that devise iniquity. What did it say also?
And work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it.
And they work evil upon their beds. They think about the things that they can do that are evil and devilish and against God and against God's people. And when they wake up, they practice it. They say, you know what? I think what we need to do, this is going to settle the score. We're going to build a wall. We're going to keep them Mexicans about us out of California. They lay on their bed and they think, you know what? I need to make up a new law that if you get caught with crack cocaine, you're sentenced to a minimum of 1 year in jail. I need to make up a new. They think of ways to destroy God's chosen people. They think of ways that are ways to entrap God's chosen people. And they do this while they're eating dinner with their family, laying in the bed with their wife, and they have the power to change laws and to set up systems to hurt God's chosen people.
Right.
Read it from the top.
Come on. The book of Micah, chapter 2, verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity
Mhm.
and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand.
It says when the morning is light, they practice it. When they thought about this thing and they think about it at night, they think about it on their off time. And when they go in office and they go to work, we're not talking about like they think about it at night. You know, at night, that's when everybody is doing everything. So they're not doing their deeds at night. They're thinking about it because they have the power to move the government. They have the power to move the society. So they say, you know what, I'm thinking about it right now, but in the morning, I'm gonna put in that request. We're gonna put in this lobby. We're gonna go in and have this meeting. We're gonna go to the Senate and we're gonna put this in action. And they practice this thing on people. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 2. Because when the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Verse 2.
Because it's in the power of their hand. But the Lord said, what in the beginning of that precept, what did he say?
Woe to them.
Woe. Destruction to them. That's what woe means.
Right.
Destruction to them that do these things. Destruction to them. Sister said, it's crazy how they gave the gay community a hate crime bill and folks voted it in, but y'all never gave so-called black people a bill of crime and shit been happening. Things been happening. Things have been happening to us since and before I was born. Let's get that sister a hand. Hey, that's true. They put it in office for a hate crime bill against gays, against Asians. They're working on the hate crime bill against Jewish people. But they have never done that for black people or Hispanic people. That should tell you something. That should tell you something about the world, the nation that you live up under, the people you are up under. They are a people who try to pacify you with little things, but they look over you. They look over God's chosen people. You should be able to put the puzzles of the pieces together, the puzzle pieces together. That a lot of these things that happen single out blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. They single out you by focusing on them and other groups. Meanwhile, you're the group that has had the worst things happen to you. You've had the worst hatred against you. Now, when you talk about the LGBTQ plus 1, 2, 3 alphabetical order, whatever you want to do, you talk about that community, alternative community. That is a sexual orientation. That is like a choice. That is not based on how you're born, the color of your skin. That's not based on how you're born. I'll say that again. The color of your skin, that's not based on that. How they talking about this discrimination for your sexual orientation. Our discrimination comes from just how we look,
right?
How we're born, and we can't help that. You can decide today that you want to be a mouse. You can decide tomorrow you want to be a giraffe. Then today you're a cabinet. Then tomorrow you're an airplane. And somebody has to respect that in that community. But when it comes to us, we can't decide whether or not we want to be born black and Hispanic.
Right.
That's who we are, and that's how we've been discriminated against. You see the irony in that and how they treat us? Where we at? Read it from the top. Read that again, because what the sister said went perfectly with the precept.
The book of Micah, chapter 2, verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity
Mhm.
and work evil upon their beds.
They devise iniquity. They come up with stuff to hurt us even more. Go ahead. And why do they do this? Keep reading.
When the morning is light, they
Mhm.
practice it, because it is in the power of their hand.
Because it's in the power of their hand to do so. But it's coming a time where they won't have any power.
Right.
And the only power on the earth will be the people who they oppressed for so long.
Right.
And that power is going to rule over the earth. And that power will be under a black man named Jesus Christ.
That's right.
And his people are blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians who the world has used as a scapegoat for all of the problems and the negativity and all of the things that go on in the earth. We've been used as a scapegoat and the people to point the blame at. Well, it's going to come a day when they're going to be the people who we point the blame at, and the people who we look at with disdain, and who we tell them, yeah, I know you got 4 kids and you gotta do this and you gotta do that. I need you at work, stat, on time. You don't got a babysitter. That's not my problem. You better be at work or you won't eat. You or your family won't eat.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're going to be able to be in power and rulership and run things for a chance. A lot of y'all don't even have the mindset to run things. I understand we don't have the mind to run things because the Lord is going to put that spirit in us to run things, to be over another people. A lot of y'all be like, that's not fair. That's not fair. That don't seem right. That's not Christian. The Lord ain't a Christian.
Right.
I'm gonna get on you, black Christians. The Lord ain't a Christian. And the Lord is about righteousness. It's not fair that you got to work 9 to 5s, and it's not fair that you got to struggle and scrape. It's not fair when your ancestors is the one that then died and bled and built this country. That's not fair. The hell you talking about? That's not fair. You don't know what fair is. You don't know what righteous justice is. Righteous justice will be for America to give over everything that they have to black and Hispanic people and to start from scratch, while black and Hispanic and Native Indian people start with a head start.
Right.
Like they did. That would be fair. That would be righteous. You know what I'm saying? Where you at? Where we at?
Michael 2.
Yeah, you can drop that. You know what? Where we at? What I want. Let's get Exodus. We'll go to Moses real quick. Let's get Exodus. Let me see if I pull these up real quick. Let me get these slides. Give me Exodus 1. Now, we done went over Exodus. We went over the story of Joseph, right?
Okay.
We talked about Joseph. We talked about how Joseph was sold, how he became the second in power in Egypt, how his brothers came to him, and he recognized his brothers. He put them through a little thing just to test and find out if his father was still alive, Jacob. And his father came. His father later, before he was going to pass away, he told Joseph to make sure when I die, to take my bones back. Matter of fact, if you could give me that where Jacob, Israel told Joseph to bury his bones, I believe, in the field that Abraham had bought.
Come on.
And while you do that, I'm going to line up these slides that I got for y'all.
Oh, is it Genesis 20 or 47 and 29?
Let me hear it.
The book of Genesis, chapter 47, verse 29. And the time drew nigh that Israel must die. And he called his son Joseph and said unto him,
Israel being Jacob. The
Right.
time came close to when he was going to pass away. Go ahead.
If now I have found grace in thy sight, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and deal kindly and truly with me. Bury me not, I pray thee, in Egypt, but I will lie with my fathers, and thou shalt carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their burying place.
So Jacob, Israel told Joseph, don't bury me here in Egypt. Bury me in the land of my forefathers. Bury me so that I may rest with my forefathers. Go ahead.
Verse 30, but I will lie with my fathers, and thou shalt carry me out of Egypt
Uh-huh.
and bury me in their burying place. And he said, I will do as thou hast said.
So Joseph agreed and said, I will do what you said, Father. Go ahead.
Verse 31, he said, swear unto me. He swore unto him, and Israel bowed himself upon the bed's head.
Mm-hmm. So Israel did not want to be buried in Egypt. He had Joseph promise that he would bury him in the land of his forefathers. Okay. And then once he passed away, the Israelites grew and grew. Joseph, he got in his old age, and he had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and he got to the age where he was able to meet Ephraim and Manasseh's his grandsons. He got to meet his grandsons. Excuse me. He got to meet his grandsons, and he told them to don't bury me here in Egypt. To when you leave, because God is going to give us a promised land, to take my bones with you. Okay, but Joseph became very great in Egypt. He was second in command over all the land of Egypt, and everyone that wanted to get anything in Egypt, buy anything, they had to come to Joseph. Right. He was in charge of all of the affairs. He was an Israelite. He was not an Egyptian, but he ruled over all of Egypt. Okay. And the Israelites were given the land of Goshen, which is the fertile land. Okay. And let me see, I probably can pull up something I did have a map. Let me see. Of Goshen, just to give y'all that was in class. That wasn't last class when I went over, was it? Did I go over it last class?
Goshen, I think it was a class.
I know I went over it. I just want to. I'm trying to remember. I know I had a map of the land that the people of the Hyksos, okay. The Hyksos and the Israelites was given. This land was Goshen. It was a fertile land. So this is the land, right? You see where Egypt is, you see the green fertile land, because that's the delta. That's where the water would come in, and that area was very fertile land where you can grow crops. You can have livestock because they have food to eat. And so Goshen, where you see the red tent, is the land that the Pharaoh gave Joseph's family. He said, settle your family here. They can have the best land. And after Joseph died, the Israelites flourished in this area. We flourished because, of course, Egypt is a damn desert except around the Nile River. So you see the Nile going down, that's the Nile River. You see the green. Anything outside of that, it's desert, it's desolate. So wherever you live in, the most fertile places would be the places where you have the most food, you have abundance. Okay. And so we end the story of Joseph. Let me see. We end the story of Joseph, and we come to Exodus chapter 1. Let's get that.
The book of Exodus chapter 1, verse 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob. Verse 2, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah.
Right.
Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin. Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls.
Uh-huh.
For Joseph was in Egypt already.
All the souls that came what? Read that.
Come on.
Say that one again.
And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls. For
So,
Joseph was in Egypt already.
so all the souls that came out of Jacob were 70 souls. For who was in Egypt already?
Joseph?
Joseph was in Egypt already. Remember, Joseph was sold into Egypt. Go ahead.
Verse 6, and Joseph died, and all his brethren in all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied.
And so the children of Israel were fruitful and they increased abundantly. They multiplied because remember, they lived in an area. And let me see if I can get a map. Or just read it. I'll use this one. I'll use this one. Go ahead.
Okay. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceedingly.
Okay, hold that right there. They waxed exceedingly. What's the word? What is it saying when they waxed? Go ahead.
It's like they had kids. Like they grew.
They grew. Not they had kids, but they waxed exceeding. Like there's a preset with give me waxing fat. No, hold on. I'll get it for y'all. And give me that. Give me I won't. Give me Jeremiah 5:28. Excuse me.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 5, verse 28.
Mm-hmm.
They are waxing fat, they shine, yea, they overpass the deeds of the wicked.
What does waxing fat mean? Would it like he's what like okay, I'm gonna just give it to you. Waxing fat means you grow, you getting big. He said it, they grew, but waxing fat, like I'm you know, my pockets is waxing fat. I've been working all week. I just got paid. My pockets is waxing fat.
Right.
I'm growing, I'm getting big, I'm living large. You know, I'm doing the damn thing. Go back to where was that? And go back to the previous precept and read up to the point where you were at. Okay. Just start over from the last precept you was at.
The book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 7. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty. And the land was,
and they waxed exceedingly mighty. Go ahead.
And the land was filled with them.
And the land was filled with them. Hold that. This is the book of Josephus. Now, the book of Josephus was a first century historian. He was an Israelite that lived in Greece. And he wrote down, you have two historians that they mainly get the records of Egypt from and what was happening in the Bible. One, his name is Manetho. He was an Egyptian historian. He lived in the 3rd century. Josephus was a 1st century historian, lived about 100 years before Christ was born. He told his story of the time of Adam until his time. And so I'm gonna have you read. Let me see. We're gonna get what we're reading. Well, he talks about exactly what we're reading. Okay, let me find it. You know what? Okay, so you can start right here. So here, take this. So right here, and I want you to stop where detriment. I want you to stop at detriment right down there where it starts at 1. And I want you to stop at detriment. I'll stop you if I hear it, okay?
I'll call it out.
Read it from read the actual
concerning the afflictions that befell the Hebrews in Egypt.
Yes. The book of Josephus.
The book of Josephus, chapter 9, concerning the afflictions that befell the
Hold on, let me see if people hear me first. I'm gonna take myself off. Y'all let me know if let me see, I'm gonna put this down there. No sweat. I'll just do it this way. Y'all let me know if
Okay.
no sweat. I'll just do it this way. So let me see real quick. I'm finna just go over the map real quick. We're talking about the Israelites. And let me see where I want. Let me see real quick. We Tawab. Yeah. I put myself back on the screen. That's why I think we're Tawab. So y'all have the map here. Let me see. Let me see if this is gonna work. Okay. I'm gonna drop. Y'all bear with me. I'm trying to get it right. So in this area, oh shit. I gotta bring it back. Okay. Where should I be at? So this is the area. Is this the area? This is the area right here. That would have been the Delta, right? This is where the Israelites came. And remember, when I was talking about the Hyksos, they came from this direction, from what you know today as Israel, the land of Canaan. They came into Egypt right here. Now, in this area, in the area of Goshen, let me do a better one. I can draw, so I should be able to do. So in this area of Goshen, where it's very fertile, you see, this is Egypt down here. Like Egypt goes down. This is what you would have considered. This is what you call the people. Damn. That's Upper Egypt. Oh shit, I done messed it up. Lower Egypt is backwards. So what we'll call it the north. This is northern Egypt, right? Let's just say that's northern Egypt. Now you go down here, and you see right here the Nile. The Nile River is where everything flourishes. But up here in the Delta, this is the Delta up here. This Delta where the water is coming in and it's lush. It's very fertile. You would be able to grow crops, feed your cattle and your livestock. You would be eating really good. You would be doing better than a lot of people, okay, in other parts of Egypt, even the pharaohs. And that's the area where Joseph's family was given. It was given that area. So let's get back to them waxing fat.
So you want the Josephus? Sure.
Give me Josephus. Give me Josephus. We read about waxing fat. Give me what Josephus says.
This is the book of Josephus, chapter 9, concerning the afflictions that befell the Hebrews in Egypt during 400 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happened that the Egyptians grew.
Now, you hearing a firsthand account for somebody that wasn't living there, but he was he has a better breakdown, and he has a different perspective of what was going on at that time. His profession was a historian, a scribe, to write down everything. Go ahead.
Now, it happened that the Egyptians grew delicate and lazy, as to painstaking, and gave themselves up to other pleasures,
right?
And in particular to the love of gain. They also became very ill affected towards the Hebrews, as touched with envy at their prosperity.
So the Egyptians were very they became very lazy in eating grain. Remember, Joseph had secured a way for them to have plenty of grain and barley and wheat and live off of that for a long time and make a lot of money off of that. Go ahead. In fact, let me just say that because of Joseph, when they look at history, whether or not they believe Joseph was existed or not, but during the time of this famine, what they see is that Egypt got very rich because people were first coming with money to buy the grain. When they ran out of money, they were coming with their livestock to buy the grain. When they ran out of their livestock, they were selling their land for the grain. And so the Pharaoh of Egypt was acquiring land from people because of the famine. So Egypt became very rich. Go ahead.
Come on. For when they saw, as such with envy at their prosperity, for when they saw how the nation of the Israelites flourished and were become eminent already in plenty of wealth, which they had acquired by their virtue and natural love of labor, they thought their increase was to their own detriment.
So the Israelites grew and waxed rich because their own love of labor. Our people were always a hardworking people. I know we say that Mexicans, Israelites, they work hard, and they do. They the hardest working people ever. But as God chosen people, we were a people of agriculture. We were a people that worked the land, tilled the land. We had goats and cattle. We were shepherds, and so we didn't have no issue with working. But the Egyptians did. The Egyptians did, and because of that, we waxed and we grew and we got very rich. Go ahead.
Come. And having in length of time forgotten the benefits they have received from Joseph, particularly
I'm sorry. Over a length of time, the Egyptians had forgotten the benefit they received from Joseph. It was a blessing for Joseph to be able to tell the Pharaoh what his dream meant, and then how to plan and prepare for it when this 7 years of plenty came, and this 7 years of famine. Now we know people may say that the 7 years of plenty and that 7 years of famine didn't happen, but we've already brought it out that there is a rock that has the inscription of the 7 years of famine on it. Joseph said that the 7 years of plenty will not be remembered, but the 7 years of hard times, that famine was remembered. And because in that famine, it was like a contract. And on this rock, they wrote down this contract, which was thousands of years later. Priests that lived in Egypt at this time, during the time of the Greeks ruling Egypt, used this rock in this contract to secure what their family had was promised to them by the Pharaoh in ancient times. So even though people may say it's not real, these people during the time, these Egyptian priests during the time of the Greeks, believed that this was authentic and real because it authenticated their land grants. Okay, keep going.
Okay. Particularly the crown being now come into another family.
Crown now came into another family. They forgot about what the things Joseph did because the crown, the rulership, went to another family. So the great things that Joseph did for Egypt, they forgot about it because the crown went to another family. Go ahead.
They became very abusive to the Israelites.
They became what?
Very abusive.
Very abusive, just like your oppressor, the so-called white man today. Forgot what your ancestors did for this place. Forgot that the Native American Indians taught them how to grow crops, taught them how to survive the winters. They forgot that. They forgot that America is built off of slave labor, off of the cotton industry, off of the tobacco industry, the sugarcane industry, the rice plantation industry, that was all done by Black and Hispanic people. They forgot about what God's people did for them to make their country so rich and so powerful. Go ahead.
Okay. And contrived many ways of afflicting them.
And then they decided to think up. What did we read in Micah 2:1? When they lay in their beds, they devise evil plans, and in the morning they practice it. They did what? Read that again.
And contrived many ways of afflicting them.
And they contrived many ways of afflicting them. They contrived many ways of afflicting Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians by setting up laws, setting up penal codes, setting up restrictions, unemployment. You can't get into college. Affirmative action, denying loan grants, denying you a home loan, all type of ways they devise to shut you down and stop you. Oh, did I forget abortion? Go ahead.
For they enjoined them to cut a great number of channels for the river and
Uh-huh.
to build walls for their cities and ramparts.
So they enjoined them to cut. So what they did was they built a whole bunch of walls. Remember, they were living in the delta, so they was living in the area where there's the water's coming in. It's all type of streams and rivers. Water is life. In ancient times, y'all probably don't realize, but water was life. Water was how you keep a city. You can build a city if you're close to water. Think about all of the great cities in America. They're close to water. They're right next to the water. The great cities of the world are right next to water. So the Egyptians said, we're going to cut off of these. We're going to cut them. We're going to separate them. We're going to build walls so they can't prosper. Go ahead.
Okay. That they might restrain the river
Uh-huh.
and hinder its waters from stagnating. Upon its running over its own banks, they set them also to build pyramids. And by all this wore
They
them
did
out.
what?
It's lucky.
Upon what?
Upon its running over its own banks,
And what?
they set them also to build pyramids.
Your forefathers built the pyramids.
Right.
Your forefathers built the pyramids. Egyptians didn't build, the pharaohs didn't build the pyramids. The workers, the field hands, the slaves built the pyramids. The Israelites built the pyramids. Go ahead.
Okay. And by all this wore them out. And forced them
It says, and by all this wore them out. Go ahead.
and forced them to learn all sorts of mechanical arts.
And forced them to slave, to work all kind of mechanical arts, production. You get what I'm saying? Like working in a warehouse, working being a janitor, being a bus driver, force them to work all type of things. What it say? We'll get to that. All manner of the field. Go ahead.
Come on. And to accustom themselves to hard labor. And 400 years did they spend under these afflictions. For they
Is it too cold in here for y'all? Y'all can turn it down. Y'all Tawab, go ahead.
For they strove one against the other, which should get the mastery.
Uh-huh.
The Egyptians desiring to destroy Israelites by these labors,
Uh-huh.
and the Israelites desiring to hold out to the end under them.
So the Egyptians wanted to destroy them by all of this labor they put on them. And the Israelites, being strong and a stubborn nigga, wanted to hold out up under that and say, I'm gonna push through. Niggas ain't gonna break me. That's just a spirit. That's us. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna break me. I'm not no quitter. I'm not gonna beg you. I'm not finna stop, and I'm not gonna beg you. Yeah, life is hard. Yeah, that's Black and Hispanic today. Damn, man, this damn slavery, man. I hate this job. I hate going to work. I don't feel like going to work. But I ain't gonna quit, nigga. I gotta do what I gotta do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Well, back then our forefathers did the same thing. You dropped that? Right, Black Dazzle. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. You said what?
Shall I keep going?
No. I want you to stop. Let's get Exodus chapter. Let's get 1 where you left off at.
Come on.
Please.
The book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 8.
Uh-huh.
Now there arose up a new king over Egypt,
Remember. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'll be so excited. Go ahead.
which knew not Joseph.
Now he says there arose a new king that knew not Joseph. Is it talking about this king knew not Joseph personally? No, it's not talking about that. It's just saying that this was, remember what we just read? The crown was passed to another family.
Right.
The Egyptian crown was passed to another family, and they didn't remember the things that Joseph did that put their world on top and made the Egyptians great. They didn't remember that. So read that from the top.
And it's like verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt,
Uh-huh.
which knew not Joseph.
This new king didn't know. He was an alien to the greatness that Joseph brought, and how Joseph saved Egypt. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
Now we just read what Josephus said about when they seen that. They seen how they was getting strong, but they got strong due to their hard work,
Right.
the Israelites. And he's saying the people are they getting more mightier and stronger than we. Go ahead.
Verse 10, come on, let us deal wisely with them,
Uh-huh.
lest they multiply and it come to pass, that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us.
So they are, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And so get them up out of the land.
So he said we need to do something. They're going to be stronger than us in a minute because they're just growing. We got to get them up out the land. We have to deal wisely with them, crafty with them. Go ahead.
Verse 11, therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens.
Uh-huh.
And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses.
Now they think that when it comes to the Bible, or historians think that because they say Ramses, you see a lot of in like the 10 Commandments, the Prince of Egypt, different movies that they say the Pharaoh of this Pharaoh was Ramesses because it mentions the cities. But Ramesses was really just it was like a title. It never meant anything specific. Ramesses was I can't remember it specifically, but it's like you're the sun. It represents the sun god Ra. Okay, and so Ramesses is kind of like the word is like Pharaoh. It's just a title. Pharaoh is not saying anybody. It's not saying anybody in specific. It's a title, kind of like how we know like God is a title when we think about us. How we say God damn, and Christians say, oh, you put in you saying the Lord's name in vain, and we like that's not the Lord's name. That's just a title. God is just a title. So Ramesses was like a title, and so there was a city, Pi Ramesses. What was you gonna say?
I got the meaning of it.
Give it to me.
It says, begotten by Ra, the sun god.
Exactly. The brother said, get a brother a hand. I should have just told you to look it up. So Ramesses means what?
Begotten by Ra, the sun god.
It's just a title. But historians have thought that because it says that in the Bible, that the Pharaoh was Ramesses, and it was not Ramesses. The Pharaoh at this time was, let me get the Pharaoh. And I showed you this already. This was the Pharaoh at the time. Amos was the first king of the 18th dynasty. Okay, he's the Pharaoh that expelled the Hyksos that took power in the north. He expelled them, but the Israelites were allowed to stay because of the promises made by the 3rd century Pharaoh Dozier that they could stay. So the Israelites were still in the land after some Semitic people got kicked out of the land. And the Israelites, because they were still in the land, they grew and they multiplied.
Right.
His son is the one we're reading about right now, who knew not Joseph. And he put out the decree for the firstborn son to be thrown in the river. This is Amenhotep the first. And then he also has another name, Tutmos the first. So the different names are when you're a co-regent, meaning you're a co-ruler, and then you become emperor, you get a different name. Okay, that's why they have two names. He has two names. And his daughter is, go ahead.
So is that the same situation with Joseph? Was it like an Egyptian tradition because they changed his name when he became?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I believe it is so. But when we're talking about rulership, you had Upper and Lower Egypt.
Right.
So you'll be ruling in Upper Egypt, but you need a co-regent or a co-ruler to be ruling another part of Egypt.
Right.
And so when you die, now he becomes emperor, and he gets a new name, and now he has a co-regent. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But what happened is that the historians really don't understand that when they break it down, they look at it like these are two different people. The white man, he looks at it like it's two different people, and that's the reason why the history doesn't line up when they're trying to find the Exodus and they're trying to find Israelites in Egypt. It doesn't line up because they think these are two different people, so they put them in succession, one at the top, and not realizing that they're the same person. And this happened throughout them trying to understand the history of Egypt. Okay. Keep reading.
Verse 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and they come to pass, that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Verse 11. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses.
You know what? We're going to stop right there. We're going to stop right there. We will continue on this because this is history. This is, and I want to be able to, you know, I want to be able to eat. I want y'all to be able to eat and chop through this and absorb this. And so for time's sake, we're just going to go to our other story. We want to talk about the Black Christian Church. Okay. But I'll tap right back into this and tap right where we left off at, and we'll get it in. You know, we'll get who Moses is in Egyptian history. Moses was actually in line to be a pharaoh to rule Egypt. Remember, the Bible says that he was skilled in all the wisdom of the Egyptians. Moses was raised he was raised in the house of Pharaoh. The Bible tells you that Moses was raised in the house of Pharaoh. And we'll get back to that. We're going to get, we're going to really, really eat and delve into that. But I want to get this other story. I want to get about first Sexy Red. Now, there's a story. I don't know if I don't think we have to get the story or the video, right? We could just talk about it. Sexy Red, recently there's a video that's it's getting traction. And I went and looked it up. It's actually an old video. I think it's like almost a year old, where Sexy Red is on a podcast with Lil Yachty and somebody else, and they're asking her about what is the worst thing you ever done. Y'all see that video?
Sir.
What did they ask her?
Like, what's the worst thing that ever happened to her?
What's the worst thing that ever happened to her? And she said, I was raped. And they kind of like pause and skip to the next subject, like damn, I didn't mean that. And then she said, what do you mean, like a shootout? He's like, yeah, let's talk about the shootout. Like, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead. They laughed at her. They laughed at her. Their expression was like a laugh, and like, that's horrible. That's really horrible. And that I was going to go into the part how we have a lack of care, meaning we have a lack of compassion for what we go through, and we're desensitized to anything that's traumatic and feeling any empathy or sympathy for our people. Like in Sexy Red, what her first song is what? My butthole is brown, my booty hole is brown. Like, she came out and said somebody gave her a STD. She's very blunt, and don't give a F when being interviewed. She just say stuff that's very raw and blunt and edgy, and it's true. It's truthful. And in our community, we look at it like, oh yeah, she real. That nigga real. He real, like he said how it is. But there's a lot of trauma behind that. And nobody goes through those things and just think and just speaks like it's just whatever. Unless they've been through a lot of trauma in hell in their life. And it highlights, not only highlights those brothers laughing at it, it highlights their intellectual and emotional maturity also. Lil Yachty, for all intents and purposes, is a multimillionaire, but he doesn't have intellectual and maturity or the level to be like, damn, that's sad. Like, I'm sorry that happened to you, sis. Like, damn, like really that happened to you? Like, and to laugh at it, like, oh, and just move on, like, oh, but that's not what we really mean. We are desensitized to the pain that we all have seen and we all have heard our other brothers and sisters have went through. You know what I mean? I was just thinking, like, man, that's horrible. But brothers and sisters Captain Nakab made a good video. Brothers and sisters, and I've been saying, I said this on my platform, brothers and sisters, that you think that people, when they're young, when they're children, they grow up and they want to be like that. They say, you know what? I want to be a sexy red. I want to be a stripper. I want to be a prostitute. Children don't say that when they're young. What happens to children is that they have to be molested, in this case, sexually assaulted, raped, molested, grow up in a family where their father is an alcoholic, their mother is on drugs, fighting and arguing, grow up in a home where they're abused, where they're beat up. Somebody their parents put hands on them like Mike Tyson. You grow up in a environment like that, and that's how these people turn out, these brothers and sisters. So if you're going to say, or if you're going to stand behind Sexy Red and say, this is women empowerment, she's bold, she's living in her truth, actually, you support the things that happened to her as a child.
Right.
You support the fact that she was raped. And now she has some company backing her, making her a superstar. She's talking about her butthole is brown. That's sad.
Right.
That's evil. You understand? And that's a lack of love and care. Because a lot of times we have to put ourselves. Give me the precept with the brotherhood precept. Damn, what is it? Where you treat a brother how you want to be treated. And then after that, we'll get the Black Christian Church.
Slug. The book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 18.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Uh-huh.
I am the Lord.
Love thy neighbor as thyself. Would you want that to happen to you? Would you want for your daughter to had went through something and somebody's asking her some questions about what happened to her in her personal life and they laugh at it? Would you want that for your daughter? Would you want that for your mother? Would you want any of these things that we're talking about? That's hell on earth. Read that again.
Okay. The book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 18. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people.
Uh-huh.
But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Love thy neighbor as thyself. Meaning, I want for you what I want for myself. And I said this not too long ago. I said, I don't have anything against, I hate the Megan Thee Stallions, the Sexy Reds, the Cardi B's. I hate the image. I don't hate my sisters. I understand because I'm in the IRCPK. If I was in the world, I would just hate them. Making it a personal thing. Like I can't stand no hoe like that. Because I'm in the IRCPK under Commander Junior Hunter, I've been taught to love my people and want for my people what I want for myself. I understand that these sisters are destroyed. I understand it. I get it. What Black person is going to turn down a contract for $300,000 to be a rapper and to be on TV? Nobody is coming from the hood. Nigga, we broke. Like we're not gonna turn it down, even though it's not a lot of money. We're not gonna turn it down just for the simple fact we're going to be on a super stage where we're famous. So whoever came and handed her the contract, I'm more mad at them. I'm more mad at brothers and sisters that don't look at her and understand that there's more to what they're seeing, that something is wrong with her. She's been through something.
Right.
She's been through some trauma. She's been through something to be desensitized to put herself on display like that. Better yet, all of our sisters have. Every sister you go and see, you watch pornography, you watch whatever the hell you watch these sisters on Instagram and all that, and they half naked. They're basically naked. I ain't gonna say half naked, they're naked. Something happened a long time ago to where they feel like this is the validation that they need, and this is the way, this is what they should do, and these are the drugs they should be on. So I feel bad for sisters like that. I don't feel good. It don't make me feel good that, you know, a lot of y'all be like, oh, well, you doing all that, then what you think? You deserve that. I don't feel that way. I feel that our sisters, they need the ISUPK. They need brothers to teach them and teach them right. And we need black men in the households to teach our sisters right, teach those little girls right, so that they don't be put in situations where this happens to them, or they're not put in situations where they make bad choices and they know right from wrong. Our people don't know right from wrong anymore. So I have compassion on my people to understand that thing. I understand, like, it ain't Sexy Red. She done been through hell. She done, you know, who knows what other things she done been through. But the reason she's like that is because somebody abused her. And when it comes to rape, like Captain Nakai said, when you rape a woman, you're basically killing that woman. And the only way for a woman to actually get real justice is to see the person that did that put to death.
Right.
You know, we're how can we say in America, we're what's the word? We're I'm gonna just say we're sugarcoated in America, because in other countries, you do something like that to a woman, oh, they're gonna find you. You're gonna come outside the next morning, and the dude gonna be laying there in the middle of the community with a whole bunch of knives in him, or him hanging from a tree. They don't play that shit.
Right.
And we shouldn't either. We shouldn't feel like, oh, that ain't nothing. Oh, you gotta do, yeah, well, what else happened? What else happened? Like, that shouldn't be the response. The response should have been, well, what happened with that? Did they ever get the man? How did that? That's the problem. Niggas like that are the problem. Black men like that are the problem. Black people like that are the problem. Where you don't care about another person. You don't have no compassion for your people and what they go through. They can't even express nothing to you, and you feel some type of way. You just say, well, I'm glad it ain't me. Thank the Lord it ain't me. It didn't happen to me. It will happen to you, because what happens to our people happens to all of us.
Right.
That's the way we got to think. We got to think like, damn, you know, what we all go through should be a collective thing. It should be something that we all feel. Like, you think that I really feel pain. Like, when I think about what happened to my ancestors, I wasn't there. I ain't never been hung from a tree, and my wife crying and my baby's crying. I don't know what that feels like, but I do know what it feels like, because it was me. It was my ancestors. I do feel that pain. I do, my fingers do clench when I think how angry I am, and how I'll never bow down to no white man that want to just kill me because of what I look like, or some police officer that wants to shoot me in the back. He has a plan. He wants to get his rocks off because he's been practicing his new gun all damn week, and he's waiting for a black and Hispanic to give him any problem or run away from him. He's itching to come home and say, well, you know, it was either me or him. I feel the pain of my ancestors, and you should too. With that, that's the class. We didn't get to the Black Christian Church, but we will get back to the Black Christian Church. We'll get to that, and we'll finish the history. All right. With that, I'll pass the class to Priest and Officer Iroria. You got it? We could just do a salute. Let's do the salute. Hmm? Men of Israel.
Men of Israel,
Like,
Mike, teacher, who,
Men of Israel. Amijam Shabbat.
Mike,
Amijam
Mike,
Barak.
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Barakatah.
Yahweh Shema Shabarakatah. Gajamata. Yeah, Gajamata. Gajamata G. Class dismissed.
Class dismissed.
Class. Good. You good with it? Let me give you all shout outs. Let me skip up to the top of the chat. That's what I do. I go to the top and make sure I don't miss nobody. UPK Quadash Allah in the house. Shalom, Lord in Christ. Olivia Arnold in the house. Shalom, Lord in Christ. Sister Barata Nawa in the house. Shalom, Lord in Christ. Black Dazzle is in the house. Shalom, Lord in Christ. Daughter of a King. Shalom, Lord in Christ. Let me see. Let me see who else is in here. Halak Ban Yashikar in the house. Shalom, Lord in Christ. Davion Perchus, Iroria. Shalom, Lord in Christ. Let me see. Oh yeah. So that's it. Hey, the water to y'all rocking with us. This is the ISUPK and the Commander Geniana. I'm Priest and Officer Tawaga Bar, Southern California, under Captain Gadalhar. We'll be back. I'll be back next Wednesday, and we will definitely go over Moses in the history of ancient Egypt. We'll also go over the Black Christian Church, the amount of money that we have paid and we have put in the Black Christian Church and what we got out of it. So I'll see y'all next Wednesday. Shalom, Lord in Christ.